Jake, I'm actually enjoying this, like these little episodes, because I'm an avid fan of the game. I watch 360 religiously.
Oh, you're hooked now? Have you always been hooked?
Bro, I was hooked before Bray Finesta. I was the one that congratulated Bray Finesta on just the great job that he's doing there. I remember in his early days when he first started, I said, mate, fuck, you're doing a good job. He goes, thanks, mate. And like, you could see how much he's matured into that role.
It's a big role.
It's a fucking big role.
Because
it's a massive role.
He's obviously player manager, host, ex-player. So he knows, he has a field of wealth.
And look, I'm on YouTube all the time, so I'm watching what the guys on Channel 9 are doing all the time with Phil Gould and the panel they got there with Billy Slater and, you know, Freddie Fittler and Andrew Johns. So I watch those clips all the time because it comes on my feed.
What do you prefer?
Fuck, that's a good question.
Yeah, because you just rattled off some names.
Phil gets a bad rap, and I'm the first guy that, you know, like sort of, because my mates go for the Bulldogs, I want to give Phil Gould a bad rap. But he makes a lot of sense now.
Very smart man.
Very, like, he makes a lot of sense about a lot of things, like even players, young players, even, you know, saying to clubs, you know, if you get Cherry Evans, you're going to unsettle your club. He didn't want the Bulldogs unsettled, but the Roosters are about to unsettle their club.
It's a big possibility. Depending, because the young halves they have in there at the moment are firing.
Bro, I watched the 360 last night, and one of the hosts said if he doesn't win a title there, it's a failure.
I heard that. Big call. Do you reckon?
If, bro, 1 year, why are you bringing someone in for 1 year, right? To be honest, bro, those two halfbacks and Rodwell coming through, man, it reminds me of when Manly won 2011 when he had Cherry and Foran coming through. You can't wreck the apple cart by bringing someone in. Look, have a look at the pattern of the Roosters. Like just the recent pattern, right? Where they've brought players in and they haven't fit with the company culture. From juniors they're bringing through is working. And you got to give it time. You got to lose a season or two to win.
With that too, your Manly view then. Remember that team they had? Like they had Cherry Evans.
It was grown.
They were,
you grew the team.
They had the men around them. They had a man forward
but you
pack.
grow the team, man. I don't, like even in this business, Jake, I don't like people that come with too much experience. I need to grow them into who they need to become. Because, and I think you're going to ask a few questions because you've thrown it out, man. I'll explain each one and why.
Yep. Now, let's jump into Ezra Mam coming back through Q Cup. Very, very smart play by Madge. I think to bring him...
He was in here today.
He was. I was starting to chat to him at the front.
Yeah. Didn't talk to him about footy, just talked about life.
See
that's
how
I like
going.
to talk to him.
Mam coming back through Q Cup. I reckon that's a great play. To bring him straight back into the NRL, into the Broncos jersey. After
too much pressure.
What had happened. Yeah, you got, and at all levels, you know, and you know this with business, you got to earn your stripes to get back into the big team.
Yeah, look, I've made this mistake in business where I've probably put someone in a position they're quite not ready for. And I've done it too many times, Jake. I swear to God, I'm not lying. And it's always slowed down their development. And it's almost put them out the door because I've put them in too early. And they talk about this in rugby league all the time. And Phil Gould especially. And everyone wants to go to the top very, very quick, but not gain the experience because when things get tough... So rugby league is a pressure cooker when you're playing. Things are moving so fast. You can come up with a game plan, but they're moving so fast. They're moving fast. And what happens, and it's very similar to where our business is right now, you know, I came up with a bit of a plan from yesterday, and I realised certain people that are put in for certain positions, I think I've put too much pressure on them when they haven't been ready to step up. And what Madge is doing there, what people like Phil Gould have done, even when he said to the coach Ciro there, Cameron Ciraldo, I didn't want him to come yet. Place was in shambles. He wanted to come. And you could see the pressure it put him under. You could see that. And Phil Gould said, I didn't want him to come yet because but there was work to be done. We could have done without him for another year.
When I look at it as a whole too, the Broncos are going well. They're not firing, but they're going well. I think to just bring him straight in would wreck a little bit of the culture and the cohesion that they have at the moment, especially because he's moving someone out of position who's actually going well in that position in Ben Hunt, even though he can play 9 at a rep level he does. I think when I look at it, I feel the more Ben Hunt and Adam Reynolds can play together, the actual better the Broncos will go.
Yeah, I mean, look, last week was a bit of a hiccup with Penrith, right? I honestly thought they were going to beat Penrith. But, and this is the patience of Madge, he'd be wanting to bring Ezra Mam in because he wants to win, right? He needs a win. That game last week, they were all over Penrith in the first 20. And then they lost that game. So imagine you as a coach, right? You're thinking, fuck, I got to bring this guy at least on the bench. Like, he would have... look, I don't know what Madge is thinking, but he would have been in two minds thinking, do I put him on the bench or do I put him in Queensland
Get
Cup?
some Ks under his legs.
Do you know what I mean?
Before we go to the next one, did you see when Mam got put on the TV, the whole crowd started booing? Did you see that?
I've seen that. Look...
That caught me off guard. But...
You know what, Bart? It was magic round, man. They had different fans out there. You know what I mean?
But it shows you that, the fans speak, man. The fans are the ones that come to the games and wear the jerseys and pay for everything.
And look, the only way to remove that is play extremely well, stay off the drink, do all the right things, look after your health, win games. Winning games removes everything. Like you said with Lockie Galvin.
Yep, habits, routines and behaviour. It'll be interesting.
You see all the attention has gone now to Ezra Mam? Cherry, Lockie, Ezra, but I'll go back to Jerry once he signs out the Roosters.
It'll come full circle at some stage. Now, the Knights versus the Titans, this isn't the biggest headline, but it helps the Knights. If they win this, they get 2 on the trot, could build a bit of confidence.
Look, I think, the Knights, if you look at their team, bro, there's decent players there.
Yep.
There's decent players. I don't like to put any... I think a coaching job's hard. I think it's extremely hard. I just don't know if the players really respect O'Brien enough to pull through for him. They've been inconsistent this year. And to be honest, the Titans have got a lot to play for now because they've been in the news.
Yep.
Des Hasler, Fafita.
Yeah.
So it's going to be one of those games that's... for me... It's flip a coin. I don't know which way it's going to go. And the reason with Newcastle, they played well last week, but their inconsistency this year, I don't know what's going to happen.
I'll tell you something that I heard, right? Jackson Hastings is $850,000 half-playing reserve grade, right? But did you hear or read, I don't know if it was out, apparently the reason is due to partners. So his fiance or girlfriend, whatever,
fucking partners,
due to something that was said about another player.
I shouldn't say fucking partners.
No, but
I didn't say it that way. But
yeah, but I know what you mean. It's if that's gonna let me put this to you.
I'm talking partnerships in business.
But that's what I'm going to lead into.
It's a mess.
Right? Something that's not actually a part of the inner sanctum of business or your footy team. They allow that affect a person getting a position within that who's fully capable of playing that position. Do you feel that's a little bit?
And I'll tell you why. I've had bad partnerships in this business, and in other businesses. And I'm going to be honest. Like it might look like you're performing at your best, but bro, there's different levels to making like that outside life. Has a huge effect on how you play, like how you work. Like like I know this purely because, 27 years in the business, man. Like, it has an effect because there's so many things happen in the background that people don't realise. Yeah. And if he's not mentally strong or tough and can just block everything out, say like a Payne Haas, like you like you could see his life. Yeah. And I know a little bit about it. Yeah. But from a mum and a father perspective, not many people can block it out. And I don't think Jackson Hastings, looking at his record in rugby league with Manly, Roosters, Tigers, I don't think he has the tools to be able to shut out whichever partners, the noise that's coming from there.
I'm alluding to this. If I'm a coach or a business owner, however you want to look at it, and I've got my team, right? That's my team. The first thing is anything outside of here, I don't want to know about unless it's doing what needs to be done in here. Yeah. So to say that partners aren't getting along or there's been bickering or whatever, and then it deters and it stops a player from getting picked, my first thing as a coach would be like, listen, that has nothing to do with us winning games of football. I understand the personalities and what happens
That's
outside.
true too.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you've got to have that inner sanctum really strong.
100%, because at the end of the day, that's always going to... The chance of that happening is extremely high because all the partners hang out.
100%.
They all hang out.
And not everyone likes each other too.
No, but I don't know if Jackson Hastings handles it well though.
Possibly.
Because like even at Manly, he had a problem with, was it Cherry or somme?
I think it was on a team drink or something like that.
But even at the Tigers, he had a problem with someone.
Yeah.
I think now I created this podcast studio because I loved creating these types of clips, videos, and helping people. But more importantly, we're in the most iconic place in the world. The beach is just down the road, 100 metres across the road. And it's over 4 levels. It has absolutely everything. From HIIT, boxing, spin, yoga, Pilates, spin, and more. Did I say spin twice? And soon to be reformer Pilates. That's how much I love this place. I repeat myself all the time. I can't wait to see her at Tighter Fitness. Get down here, over and out. I think it's possibly Jackson Hastings' reaction more so than anything else.
Yeah, it could.
That's what I think it is.
I don't know too much about it because I read the heading, and then I'm sort of sitting there and I was like...
And he's on 850, but that's a lot.
Well, that's the thing.
When you look at Fogarty and him, like who would you take in your team?
If out-and-out halfbacks, Fogarty.
Yeah, that's what he's on 700.
In my opinion. But that's the thing. I would, as I said, being a captain or a coach or a business, like anything that's outside of what I'm doing, I don't actually want to hear about and don't bring it into here because that's what that creates the friction within
100%.
the sanctum. Now, the Raiders versus the Dogs is my game of the round. Matt Burton's back in.
Yeah.
How do you see that going?
Well, Matt Burton, he can see the New South Wales Origin side, right? He's probably that utility that they're possibly going to have on the bench because he can play a few positions, right? He's a great kicker as well. You can bring him on and put those high balls up. So Matt's got a lot to play for. He's got a lot to play for. So I think he's going to play extremely well. If you're asking me who I think is going to win, but I think the Dogs are going to get him. The only reason I say that, and the Raiders are doing really well, if the Dogs get a lead, they're a tough side. They're a grinding side. So if the Dogs get the lead, they're not going to give it up, right? But in saying that, I'm very impressed with the young players at the Raiders. I think Ricky Stewart's done a really good job now of, changing the direction he's taken the club by bringing a lot of these young players, which I'm a huge fan of, like bringing your juniors through and having a few old heads there, which is working extremely well for them. I'm going to probably barrack for the Raiders, but my brain tells me the Dogs are going to win.
I'm going to back you up. I think the Bulldogs will win, but I'm going to say it's due to the Raiders' last win against the Storm.
Yeah, man.
I think that's a big emotional toll. That's a big win.
It's a big win.
But they could also use that and catapult themselves. But they've been revving at 10 for probably 3-4 weeks now, and the Bulldogs are humming as well. So I reckon it's going to be tight.
I want Canberra to win, but my brain says the Dogs.
I'm exactly with you on that. Now we've got Loco Junior Pacifikai Tonga debuting for the Dragons. I hope I pronounced his last name right. He's 19 years old, 196 centimetres and 121 kegs.
Wow.
That's fucking a joke. Who was tackling him in SG Ball last year?
Look, I know we haven't been a great... we like Flano.
It's a big
You know what I mean? But what I like about what Flano is doing is he's bringing some of these juniors through. Mate, he's got the biggest nursery there in Wollongong. It's a fucking massive nursery,
they've got from like Bateman's Bay to Cogra.
You know, some teams, they got to play the long game, man. And if the Dragons play the long game, history has shown the players that you have produced.
You know what this saying is? You can't buy a
comp,
but you can grow into one.
Roosters very good at it.
Well,
they're probably
the thing is with the Roosters, if you look at it too, they actually have the right pieces there and they go and get what they need.
Yeah.
Places like the Dragons, North Queensland do it really well as well. They've got their nice tight-knit group up there, but they go out and get someone if they need it.
Yeah.
With the Dragons, I've sort of feel the last, 5, 6, 7 years, they've tried to go get too many outsiders with the amount of stock that they have there. and actually bringing them through and teaching them, you know, what the Red V is, what it's like to be from Wollongong to Steel City, like really hone in on that culture. And I think they're starting to do it now a little bit, as you can see, as you just pointed out. They're bringing these younger fellas too. A big one was bringing Hame Sele back, I felt. He's a Dragons junior and starting to get a little bit of DNA around, you know, being a fucking Dragon. And I love that. I get passionate about it because that place holds something special to me, but they have such a big stock there. I feel if they just stay consistent, like they got the Couchmans there, you know, like these homegrown players.
Look, I just think the Dragons just have to leave Flano in there for a while. Possibly. I reckon he'll work it out.
Possibly. And another person that's there is Dean Young. That bloke he's a Dragon through and through. You know, won a comp there, so he's definitely in there doing what he needs to do. Mate, fucking David, it was Lockie Galvin 2 weeks ago. The game just keeps giving. David Fafita. Mate, it's going berserko.
Fuck, you know, when you're that big, that fast, that strong, you got to ask yourself the question, you know, where you said, like, leave everything out the door when you come. I wonder what's happening outside of his life that he can't handle.
Well, let's zoom out. I'll give you my view and you let me know too. Imagine being 19, I think it was, right? And he got offered, I think they were saying 1.3 million a year after 10, 15, 20 games of first grade at the Broncos, right?
Yeah.
A mindset that comes up once you get that stuff is a false view on what you actually are as a rugby league player. And he earned that, I feel, and people are going to pay on potential, and he has his bar is so high. But, you know, you see it a lot within rugby league, and even you yourself would have seen it in business and gone through certain things in your life. Once you sort of get given something a bit early, you have the tendency to just knock it back to neutral. Would you agree?
100%. And he's probably that type of player. Like, you look at Tino, completely different.
Payne Haas.
Right? Payne Haas, completely different. You know, he grew up playing with those players. But, you know, and you'll see it like, you'll even see it like, and I'll give you an analogy in basketball. You'll see the guy that has an extreme work ethic, like, say, a Jordan or a Kobe Bryant.
Yep.
And then you'll see the other guys, they won't have those numbers. And there's certain people that will get paid the same amount, almost in the same crop, but some will go, you know what, I'm going to not put in the effort.
Yeah.
And I think what's happening over there at the Titans, and I was watching it on 360, I don't think they should have got rid of Holbrook.
Yes.
They shouldn't have. Look, the biggest mistake they made, I feel, was getting rid of Holbrook when they were doing all right. Yeah?
Yep, I agree.
They were trying to win a comps too quick again, where Holbrook was building. They got rid of Holbrook during that process.
A lot of players went there because of Holbrook. Do you remember that? There was a lot of players that actually went there.
He was starting to come good.
Yeah.
And they needed to be patient.
Solid. Yeah.
So, you know, Gordon Tallis was talking about, you know, the back office is good. We bought Mal Meninger in, we bought this person in. Well, come on, man, how good was it? Like, you have changed coaches that many times. All right, say you've got a good new office. The Titans weren't going that bad when they got rid of Holbrook.
No.
They bought Des Hasler in, right? Des Hasler's now moved a lot. He's not the same Des Hasler as he was when he was first at Manly, right? There's a reason people like Bellamy that haven't moved from the system. Obviously, they've got you know, great managers there. You know, they've got a great infrastructure there in Melbourne, so it's made his job easy. Where Des Hasler struggled at Manly initially was he didn't get along with the board. But the thing is, if you're getting results, the board will slowly change. So he didn't have the patience to stay. He wanted the money at the Bulldogs.
Yeah.
So when you look at him, and mate, I love Desi. I'm not saying he's bad, but I'm.
He sort of dug his own grave to an extent.
Yeah, man. I've met him. I don't want to put that onus on these coaches because rugby league's hard. You're dealing with so many different variables, but you know, he probably should have just let Fafita go to the Roosters. I mean, that would have really.
What I heard with that, right? This is what I heard. I'm not a fucking in any inner sanctum or anything like that. I heard the Roosters put forward a contract that was agreed to.
Yeah.
His management went to another club and said, "This is what's been offered," trying to get more money at another club, and the Roosters went, Not sure what club it was. That's what I heard. And the Roosters went, fucking see you later. They shit the bed, and then he ended up staying at the Titans.
Yeah.
That's what I heard. Yeah. Don't know if it's true or not, but I can see the Roosters doing that.
Yeah, and look,
it's
when you look at recruitment, you know, you got your recruiters, then you got your coach, then you got management, then you got the board, and you got to almost try and keep everyone happy.
Well, yeah, you do, but
it's you can't.
When you're I feel in rugby league, right? If you're not there every day, as an example, a board member who sits on the board, if you're not actually there personable with the players, just fucking stay over there.
Yeah.
Right? And if you're a coach, if you make it about yourself, you're missing the point of getting to know all these players and where they're from and what makes them tick. I feel the best thing about if you get privileged enough to be put in those sorts of positions, you should know everyone's name, their partner's name, where they're from.
Yeah.
That breeds culture.
Yeah.
To just continually tell people what to do instead of actually, and this is where I think a lot of things go not as good as what they could, teach them. You know, even where we are at a high level, as in the NRL, there's still guys playing when I watch football. Some of them don't pass very comfortably both ways. Some can't tackle comfortably with both shoulders. Yeah. That's a fundamental. That, you know what I mean? That's a fundamental skill. I was better
on my right than left.
But that's the thing. You would think if you're in a position, as an example, as a number 9, right? Some of them can rocket it one way. The other side's a little bit pedestrian. You know, same with shoulders. And I understand.
But doesn't that come back to this one thing though? Getting in there early and practicing until you get good at it.
Same thing we were talking about before. Sometimes you get things before you've actually earned them.
And I think he's just rested on his laurels of what he's naturally good at, rather than working in areas that he needed to work on to make his game better.
And maybe that's what Des trying to do. He's trying to nudge him into that area, and he's just
work, man.
The best thing about it was I listened to a clip Willie Mason come out with last week around it, and just was so fucking direct with it. Yeah. And I like it when you have, like Andrew Johns the other week coming out and hammering the NRL about fucking talking to the referees, right? Then you got Willie Mason, you know,
he goes
putting a bit of dynamite up him. That's what they need. Yeah. That's what, like, the media with these old boys and the OGs that used to play in, they're all at the highest level.
Yeah.
They've played for Australia, New South Wales. They've won big games, won comps. The more I feel these players can come in and just go bang, I feel it'll get a better response. David Fifita has the potential now. If I was him, I'd be ringing Willie Mason and going, "Hey, bro, can you help me? I'm struggling. I need help."
Correct,
like
bro.
That's the way I look at it now. You know what I mean?
Not only that, like the Dogs are doing such a good job.
Yeah.
Willie Mason's there with Serralto.
Yep.
Do you think he's not going to be able to give him some fucking great tips? And the guy's played that for that many clubs.
Fuck.
He knows the DNA everywhere. That's necessary.
100%. He's Willie Mason. People forget he was the guy.
Yeah, and he's going to tell you direct.
100%. And that's what I think a phone call David Fifita could go, "Hey, mate, like I heard what you said.
Yeah.
It fucking rattled me a bit.
Yeah.
I'm going to put my feelings to the side."
And rugby league players love helping other rugby league players, right?
Mate, I guarantee you Willie Mason would give you
100%.
100%, because that's a respect thing.
Yeah.
Someone's taken time to ring you now and go, "Hey, I'm struggling off field with this.
Yeah.
What do you suggest? What do you think I could do to take my game to the next level on the field?" And just go, "Hey, mate, you're actually already got all the tools.
Yeah.
Now it's time to fucking tap into that a little bit."
And like, be the guy that gets the training first. Be the guy that outworks everyone.
Show them.
Show everyone what you're doing.
Exactly right. Show them. That's the biggest thing. Now, to finish off, Mets, the Roosters clean out.
Yes.
Now, I like it when this comes up, because I was reading something before we come down, right? It was Aaron Woods. Now, he's on the radio, and this is a fair point, right?
Aaron goes hard too,
right?
Aaron Woods.
I want your opinion on this as well. It's funny, Aaron Woods is managed by Isaac Moses.
Yes, I've heard that too.
Right? So, I think, and it's good by Woodsy, and he does make a very strong point. Lockie Galvin got hammered the other week, right? He was the face of it all, even though it was a bit of backdoor bickering with other things. Now, because a club wants to clean out their players, which they're entitled to do. Everyone's allowed to do exactly what they want to do. But Woodsy is saying, why aren't we going at clubs now that, because all of a sudden they want to do things, it's just business. that narrative being pushed.
Yeah,
you know. So it's funny how, you know, we can view it one way.
You don't want to lose a player, but now we're going to clean out.
Exactly right.
Now everyone's watching these podcasts. They're loving myself, Kenny, Jake. But the best part about it is I love this shootout. I don't have to do anything. These lights are turned on. The camera guys are there. The producers are there. They do absolutely everything. They can't make it any easier to create a podcast. And you know what the best part about it is? You're going to have content for the rest of your life, and you're going to be able to watch these podcasts. Your grandkids are going to be able to watch these podcasts. These guys make it super simple. So why not hire this studio out? Hit the link in the bio, and let's see you here.
But when I look at it, it is business by the Roosters.
Yeah.
They want to win a comp. They need to clear some money. They have to do... I just don't... When I look at it, I think they're actually going to get someone else because they're clearing a lot of cap space. So I don't know if Cherry Evans will take all that. I think they may need another middle. They've got their middles have stood up this year, but I reckon they might get another middle.
Yeah.
And obviously Cherry Evans. So it's going to be interesting how this narrative sort of pushed for the next couple of days.
To be honest, the young players are coming through. And you got to allow them to grow. Mate, they're aiming up.
Yeah, they are.
And the thing is, a lot of these decisions are probably made 3-4 months prior, possibly last year.
Yep.
So there's been promises been made
that they
can't renege from, and rightfully so. Probably at that time it made a lot more sense. But right now, they've got a huge stock of halfbacks, and you know, rugby league. They're going to go after these players, other teams.
Yep.
And teams like South, who love going after the Roosters, are going to have a field day if they have to do that.
These halves now, they've shown their first graders. They're actually winning them games off their skills. And I'll put my foot in my mouth because I didn't actually have an idea. Looking at it, I'm like, why are they getting rid of May? Hargraves is gone, man. Like, they've lost a lot. And I heard that maybe Fanua Blake was possibly going to go there.
Yep.
Then there was, you know, another front rower that they didn't want. And then I'm sort of sitting there, and then you look at it now, Robinson and Politis and all the other people in there, they've seen the potential these guys have had, and they've actually taken the jersey head on and owning, you know, their starting spots or their roles coming off the bench. And once you get that going, it's pretty big momentum.
But how would you feel? Right, say these halfbacks, they win another 3, 4, 5. They make the semis, and all of a sudden, all of 2026, they're not in the side. They're saying, hey, we'll just stay here for a year. You reckon they're going to stay there for a year?
I'll give you a story about me.
Yeah.
Right? So 2015, played 20, 21 games of grade, started in our first final, left back row. Right? 2015. 2016 comes around, I'm in reserve grade to start the year. And it's disheartening. And I'd be very frustrated if I were them because I'm going off how that experience was for me. I feel if you earn the right to wear a first grade jersey, it's in your power to have it, to lose it. You know, I got mine, you know, at that time, and I understand rugby league now way better. But when it's just taken away without any sort of, you know,
no explanation
behind it. It's confusing and it's frustrating, and then all of a sudden you're like, well, am I actually in these people's plans? Do I have to ring my manager? Do I have to leave now? This is unfair.
Well, like, you know, when we spoke to Chimes, the managers go, yeah, there's 2 people in front of you, mate.
Yeah.
We're going to get you out of here.
Yeah.
Because we've spoken to the team, we've spoken to the coaches, we're going to get you out of here.
And then the club sometimes pulls a Swifty and goes, oh, we actually need him for depth. So no, he's not going.
Yeah.
So do you see
what I was thinking?
It's like?
I'm going like Fogarty's coming to Manly, which I'm happy about, right? I'm thinking, fuck, Manly should have gone after these 2 halves if they're going to take Cherry.
Possibility.
You know what I mean? Which I don't know if they will because they've got Luke Brooks there.
Yeah. But you can't have 5 halves.
No, you can't.
They're top heavy.
They can't, mate.
But this is what I mean by, right, maybe they move a half to receive a forward. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what they're going to have to do.
They have to.
But you're losing something in your bill that could become anything. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know.
Who do they have? They got Walker, Cherry Evans.
Is it Sam Smith?
And then Hugo.
Yeah.
So there's 4 there.
4.
So 3 there's now 4.
Plus Rodwell coming through. They were talking about Rodwell coming through, and they reckon
he's a fucking
the
gun.
cream of, they reckon he's the cream of the crop.
Yeah.
So
it's interesting.
Look, they got a good nursery. What they should do is focus on that. They've got enough old heads there in Tedesco, and a few of their forwards there that have got the old heads. You know, Watson at hooker. They've got enough old heads in there. You probably need one more, right? You got Crichton in there. You got the Butchers there.
Yeah.
There's actually enough old heads to carry it through.
Yeah.
Right. I think they've jumped the gun. With Cherry. I don't think Cherry is like Cooper Cronk, right? And everyone's trying to make the comparison. I just don't think they're the same player.
And if you look at it, it's two completely different teams. The 18 and 19 when Cooper Cronk was there.
Oh, man.
They had Boyd Cordner still there.
They had
Jake
everyone.
Friend, Hargraves. Just to name three.
Yeah.
Like that's furniture at the SFS, those three blokes, you know. These guys here, they do get a full year under their belt and possibly one or two finals games, but they're two differently.
And look, the clean out with Dom Young and Brandon Smith, I agree with. I think they were going in the right direction, but I just think, and look, I could be proven wrong next year, to be honest.
How good's getting proven wrong? I'd fucking put my foot in my mouth with the Roosters this year.
When I told you at the start, I think the Roosters are going to come last. Do you know what I mean? At the start of the year.
Yeah, that's right.
But,
I still
then
thought they had top eight.
when I look at it now, I go, mate, this reminds me of Manly 2011.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's the thing. Like, you look, rugby league's like a business. Like,
it is now, man.
You're trying to help develop each person. You're trying to have your leaders do their job. You're trying to keep them up. Look at Tedesco, right? Written off last year. His stats are unbelievable this year. The things that he's doing this year, like, are unbelievable. And one of the biggest things, he goes, I know what my process is now. I know what my focus is. And I think losing that New South Wales jersey last year was a blessing in disguise for him because it took away the pressure of trying to make the team now.
Yeah.
It took away the pressure of like, hey, let me just focus on club footy, right? And if I'm like a Manly fan too, like, you know, I was thinking, you know, fuck, Cherry should give it away and focus on Manly. But then I look at it and I go, you know what, he's towards the twilight of his career. He's given a lot for the club. Let him do what he wants, right? And look, I hope he does well at the Roosters, right, and gets what he deserves. And I'm thinking, if he had sat in Manly 1 year he's got left, would Manly have paid the 1 year? There's something else going on there.
Well, they offered two by the, you know, remember that?
They offered two for 700.
Yeah.
But if they reckon he's going to go for one for $1 million.
I see.
Right?
That. Yeah.
So if Manly said stay for one more year for $1 million, I wonder if he would have stayed.
Well, possibly. But it sounds like there's a lot of friction within that club at the moment. The thing is what you just said then too, when the journos go, oh, he's not doing right by the club by playing rep footy. No. Just listen, like those guys.
He's in the twilight of his career. He wants to finish off the way he wants to finish off.
You've got to understand, rep jerseys, they don't get handed out willy-nilly.
Yeah.
Like, so, you know, it's like saying to a journo, hey, mate, if you're earning $250 here, but next year you can earn $350 and then you can get... Everyone's always looking to level up, either in pay grade, knowledge, whatever it is. You're always going to take that next step, whether it's staying at the same place and building there, or if you get another opportunity to go over there, everyone's doing it.
Yeah.
So, like, I find when they say, oh, he should think about the club, well, hold on, he plays 26 rounds for them, so he's always thinking about the club. If you get an opportunity to play State of Origin, regardless of your age or how many games you've played, you grab that and you fucking run as far as you can with that.
Now, the Tigers. You got Lockie Galvin leaving?
I've got him being Parramatta next year.
Yeah. So then you look at the Roosters halves. Like, you know what I mean? It's almost like, hey.
So if Lockie Galvin's going to Parramatta, the Tigers need a half.
That's right.
So
they've got a few to pick from.
Yeah, they do. They do at the Roosters.
And they were going to give a fair bit to Lockie Galvin, so they got the money.
Well, and if I'm looking business style from the Roosters, if maybe they're bringing Cherry Evans in to give some experience to Rodwell. Is it Rodwell?
Rodwell, yeah.
Then Rodwell goes bang, and then him and Sam Walker take him through.
Yeah, but then they've got to get rid of the other two halves.
And that's business. That's rugby league.
That's
you know what I mean? Because they're already.
It's a tough business, bro.
It's
a fucking tough
business.
It is cutthroat, and you got to respect. You know, everyone's trying to do their best, and it's hard to get everyone on the same page.
The thing for Hugo is he can actually play 13 because of his body shape.
That guy's going to be...
If they could be a ball playing 13 and a very good one, even on an edge.
Yeah.
If he
he's got the size. Like, he looks to me like he could be something special.
Yeah, he's got that frame. You know,
Yeah.
he's already got the skills in that of a half.
Yeah.
He could shift into a 13 if they can teach him how to take the hit ups and make the tackles and build his engine, or you can whack him on an edge and he can create offloads and second phase play for him. So he could be a little bit of a work of art for him if they could turn him into something if he wants to do that.
And I'm not even a Roosters supporter.
I just like talking footy.
But I like what's happening there.
Yeah.
Like when I look at it from a business sense, I actually take being a supporter out. I like what they're building, but they've got to be careful.
Yeah.
They have to be careful about. I like, a couple of the players that they've probably had to let go.
Yeah.
That they've made good decisions.
Yeah.
But I just think, that could be a little bit over their head with Cherry. And I'm not saying Cherry's a bad player.
Yeah.
Deserves all the money he needs to get.
Yeah.
But just with how the club's going, exactly what Phil Gould said, mate, they're going good. We're not gonna destroy the apple cart here or disrupt it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Well, even this, throw it out there. Imagine if the Roosters won the comp this year.
Oh, you're fucked. They're fucked.
Fuck.
They've really fucked it up then. I hope they win.
Well, yeah. What about the headline?
Look, forget about hope they win. Like, say they get to the semis or because of one of our good mates, say they lose, but they've just made it there. They've overachieved. Way beyond. The next year, these guys are ready to win.
It'll be interesting to see the way the next 12 months plans out 100%.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, great chat.
All right, bro, thanks. Over and out.
Bang.